So you like my booth, my professional booth?
I do. I do. How did you create it? What does one do?
One comes to the actual studio in Santa Barbara, so it's convenient.
Nice.
So I'll do it here in the studio in Santa Barbara, or I'll do it at Sirius, a main studio complex in LA.
Got it.
And back in the day, I started in my basement right before COVID.
You're so smart. I mean, you're always really smart about things, but how? How did you come to think I should do this?
You know what it was is I would sometimes I would guest host like Ellen's show in the day, or
Right.
Jimmy Kimmel. I've guest hosted a couple of times, and some other things like that.
Right.
Good Morning America, I did.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was super, and I enjoyed it so much. I enjoyed the conversation of it, but I also realized that I wouldn't like I love doing whatever Kelly Ripa's show. But,
Yeah.
but then I don't want to do like the cooking segments. I don't want to do I don't want to do the like the sort of stuff that they got to do to pay the bills is kind of icky to me. So I was like, what can I do where I get have my own talk show and only do the stuff I want to do and talk to only the people I want to talk to? And so here we are.
There you go.
Right?
That was super smart. You were on the early side. Yeah, it's great. I mean, and also I like it because it's very like free ranging. You have experts, you have people you have people from your past, like Francis Ford Coppola. You're getting to just pick and choose, which I love.
Yeah, it's super fun for me because you know me. I love talking to people. I'm curious and earlier today, I talked to Matthew Modine. I haven't seen Matthew Modine since he broke my nose on the set of Home.
Oh my God! When did he break your nose?
He broke my nose in a stunt fight, and it's so funny because I was and he was apologizing to me. Not that he needed to. Not that he needed to. It was just one of those things. But I remember working on the movie. Our first thing we ever did, Atomic Train, and it was one of the gnarliest stunts I've ever done, where I was jumping between two moving train cars.
Insane. Yes, insane.
And
I couldn't believe you were doing that.
I jumped into your arms, I believe.
You did. It was awesome. But I was like, why is he doing this? I mean, I could tell that you loved it, but it was also scary. I was scared.
I was petrified. And I remember thinking the only time I'd been hurt during a stunt was Matthew Modine. And that led me to jumping between two train cars to jump into your arm. You were there for me. That was
I was there for you. And then you were there for me later when we went to South Africa and Zambia.
Oh my God. We had so much fun in Holiday in the Wild. So Holiday in the Wild, y'all, is out there on Netflix. It's an evergreen, as they call it.
It is.
Right?
It really is.
Do you keep hearing it on here? The people love it still and watch it all the time?
So much. I mean, just recently, before Christmas, people have been commenting in my Instagram posts that weren't even about that, I just watched Holiday in the Wild. And I thought that is so amazing and adorable. So I'm just going to put some pictures up. So I put pictures up of us, behind the scenes type pictures, because it was so beautiful, where we were in South Africa. So beautiful. And I think it's like possibly my most liked post that I've ever made on Instagram.
Really?
Like, it's bizarre. Yeah. It was millions and millions of people. Like, I watch it every year. I mean, who would have thought? I couldn't even believe they let us make that movie.
Well, they only did because of you, because you were, tell the story though a little bit about how, so you've been an activist forever with animals and elephants then in particular. So you developed this script. My favorite thing is they had to have come to you at some point and say, yeah, we're going to make it in Agura.
They did try. Yes, they did. And I said, because the way that it went down was so weird. Like, I went to a meeting, people would say we want to have a meeting with you. Well, let's have lunch, So I went to a meeting and the writers of the film were there, and they're like, we just want to talk to you about the elephants. So for me, I'm so excited, right? I don't realize that they're gonna write a script. Like, it never entered my mind. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh wow.
they were not open about it or whatever, that was their idea. So I'm just yakking like I do, ask me about elephants and I will keep it there for a week, right? Like, and then this and this country and that, whatever. So I'm telling them that I'm just so excited because I was expecting kind of like an industry lunch, right? I'm just so excited that someone's asking about the elephants, So I'm going on. They're asking a lot of questions. Brad is there, right? And he's asking me a lot of questions. And I'm just having the best time. And then they're like, we should, I think originally they were going to try to make a Hallmark movie because Brad was still working for Hallmark. And I thought to myself, I don't really feel like this is a Hallmark movie.
Right.
It just didn't really make sense to me. But I said, let's try, okay, because a lot of people see the Hallmark movies. And I thought, this could be a whole new audience for the elephants, right? Because that was kind of one of my big missions with the activism. First of all, I love elephants. I love animals, as you know.
Yeah.
But at the time that I became acquainted with the organization in Kenya that I work with, the Sheldricks, it was 2009 when I found with my friends an orphan baby elephant. And we took this elephant, we found her, we transported her, we got her to the nursery in Nairobi. And they said to us when we brought her there, oh, it's probably poaching. And I was like, poaching? These are some crazy elephant people. Like, I just thought, I didn't think poaching was happening anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It just seems like that can't be going on anymore. Not today.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, oh, okay. And then we left her there. We knew she was in good hands. And then she had health issues because she'd been by herself for days and days. Like her eyes were infected and all kinds of things. So I kept texting with them, like, do I need to send more money for the vet? What do I need to do? How can I help? And little by little, I start following them and learning, no, poaching is on the rise. And it was such a horrible time in that no one was covering it. Like none of the, traditional press was covering elephant poaching in Kenya. And it was to the point where the people on the ground were really worried that they were going to be extinct. And so as I started following based on this one elephant and learning more, I became obsessed with trying to get the word out. And luckily, my publicist, Amy, was also with me when we found the baby elephant. She became obsessed as well. We tried everything to get someone to cover it. And they would say, well, we'd love a cute picture of you and a baby elephant, but we don't want to talk about poaching. So we were like, well, okay, we'll take it. Like we were just like little bits. And in my mind, like the nightmare that I would have was that one day we would wake up and the cover of the New York Times would say like, elephants extinct in the wild. Like it would be too late.
Right.
And I just couldn't bear that. I just couldn't bear that this kind of part of the world that we take for granted as always being there and having these beautiful wild animals. I mean, you went on safari, what I'm talking about. Like you just think that this incredible, miraculous world is just going to live on, but it's not going to live on unless we protect it,
That's right.
So luckily, so many people mobilized in so many different countries, but especially Kenya has been a really great example. There's so many people around the world who support these elephants and support David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust, which is my group. And I mean, it's just been tremendous. So Kenya now is a huge success story, but not every country in Africa is, sadly. So a lot of the elephants that used to have free range, there's too much development. There's too many people. There's people poaching them still. Like, still in Kenya, my group, the David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust, has, I think at this point, 11 vet units all across the country. And they're still treating poison arrow wounds, snares, which are like they snare the elephant's foot and then the elephant can't graze and slowly dies. It's horrible. Anyway, it's still happening. See, you asked me about elephants, so now I'm off. But so when I went to this lunch, the same thing happened. I had no idea that they were going to write a script, right? And they had to make it a romance, and then we had to make it a Christmas movie. So I still was like, oh gosh, is this going to work? And then when we were talking about leading men, they were like, well, we'd love to have Rob Lowe as the pilot. And I was like, well, yeah, I'd love to have Rob Lowe as the pilot. Never entered my mind that you would do it, right? I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's see. And then you did it. So it happened. And that's really thanks to you.
Oh, well, I loved working with you. I think you're the greatest. And also, I mean, they kind of had me at, we're shooting in Africa. Do you know what I mean?
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's amazing.
I mean, we all do projects for different reasons sometimes.
Yeah.
And for me, between you doing it and like being out there rugged, and how about the day where, so there's all the elephants in the movie are actual elephants. They were never told where to go, never told what to do, nothing.
Right.
And so, which was the whole point.
Exactly.
So we have to do our sort of our out of Africa picnic scene. Right?
By the watering hole. Yeah, I love that scene.
I love that scene by the watering hole. And the elephants, as we're beginning to think about maybe falling in love with each other, the elephants come out of the bush, and it's this magic, and it's Africa's magical. All you have to do is put a camera on it, it's so magical. But we had to have the only people who could be out of the cars to shoot the scene were the cameraman and you and I, and everybody else had guns in case elephants are wild and you don't know what they're going to do. In case we're charged, I'm making, why is it every time I'm with Kristin Davis, my life is in my hands? What is going on? It is insane.
Or we're in Kenya and Zambia, which is, South Africa and Zambia. And I mean, do you remember the place with the cliffs that we had to take that crazy road that had washed out?
Yes.
Like they had scouted it. They had scouted this location at the base of the mountains near Hoedspruit, which is a beautiful Hoedspruit. A beautiful, like by Kruger, kind of adjacent to Kruger National Park.
Yeah.
So really incredibly gorgeous, really rugged. But the place that they wanted us to film, where you could see the mountains in the background, the road had washed out between them scouting the location and us arriving. And we had to like psych ourselves up every day to get in our 4-wheel drive and go up like this crazy. Like insane. Like, I can't believe we even made it up there. And then do you remember the one day, I don't know if you were still there, but like weather came in and there was a scene where I had to go out in the night to go check on the elephants. And literally my hair is just like this. And I'm like, we're not going to be able to use this. They're like, yes, we will. And I'm like, but I can't, I have to scream. You can't even hear it. Like, they're like, it'll be fine. No, of course it was not fine. We did not use it. But like just the elements were so intense, right?
Do you remember
the
day?
I just love that we did it.
The day we had a snake wrangler.
Oh my God, yes.
He found the world's most dangerous snake on our set.
In the grass.
Under the blanket in the grass that you and I were about to lay on.
It is so true. Thank God. Thank God he was there. Because I remember him being very low key. And I was like, oh, whatever. Because I've been to, every country in Africa pretty much at this point. But we were in a pretty remote, there were no other like people walking around or whatever. It wasn't like a regular safari type of a place, right? And I remember he was so low key, and then that one day he was like, "Oh yes," and we were like, "Oh what?" But that's what I love about you. Like, you have been in the industry for so incredibly long and sustained yourself in doing so many different things with such a great attitude, which is, I don't know if I actually asked you this or if I just like soaked it up from you, but like one of the things I've learned from you, not so much Atomic Train, because Atomic Train, I was kind of deer in the headlights. I don't know if you remember this, but I was really like kind of scared to talk to you. I was just like, oh my God, I'm standing here next to Rob Lowe. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm going to try to act like I know what I'm doing, but I really don't know what I'm doing. And also the crazy, like run. They'd be like, run on the bullhorn. Remember, we'd have to run through the mud and whatever. It was insane. So I was just like trying to hang on. And then, and I remember talking to you about you were building your house or redoing the house in Santa Barbara, right? And you're like, Lovey, spending too much money. And I was like, this thing is such a trip. Well, we love her. We don't care. Cheryl can do whatever she wants. Yeah. But I just, you had so much, obviously charisma, but like also just, you had a great attitude about it. Like you were not out there complaining in the rain. You were wearing your Prada raincoat that Cheryl bought you, and you had your umbrella. You were just standing there. And I was like, this is a great attitude, because for me, I was like, why are we out here in this crazy rain? But, I love that about you. And I love that, then we go to Africa where like, I didn't 100% know if everything was going to work.
Yes.
On
Mhm.
I was like, please, God, let everything work. I had gone on my little prep trip to talk to the different elephant people, but I couldn't control the rest of it, right? Like the locations and, there's a certain element that I couldn't really manage. I was kind of like very busy with the elephant people, like calming them and promising them that we would respect the elephants. And we did, thank God, but it wasn't easy. As you said, everyone had to stay in the car. Like it wasn't normal filmmaking at all, but everybody rolled with it, which was really amazing. But the rest of it, like the elements up in Hoedspruit, and then we went to Zambia, which was a whole different ball of wax. And then we went down to Cape Town, which was so glorious.
Most beautiful city in the world.
I mean, incredible to film in, incredible to be in.
Oh.
And then you guys went down and did the shark thing. And I was like, please, God, let Rob come back from the shark thing.
I did. I was happy to come back from the shark thing.
Totally. I was like, no one can tell him no, but is this really a good idea?
I like that you're
on the weekend.
You're fine with me wandering around in the savannah with lions, but you don't want me in a cage with sharks.
That's true. That's about my own fears. That's totally my own fears. Because you didn't see me near the sharks, right?
No, you were not having any of that. Not a walk.
I was not. I was like, good times. Go on. Just please come back. Just please come back in one piece.
Well, this is
no. It's funny. Your different fears, Well,
I love that we have that in common, and that continues to be a thing we will always have together.
I know. I love it too. I want to do part 2, but I don't know how we would, but I would love to.
I never put this together. So I have we both had the mutual friend, Aaron Sorkin.
Yes.
And did I ever tell you, I don't think I ever told you the story that one time he got mad at me. And one of many times he got mad at me, and vice versa. We love each other. We love each other. We love each other.
Yeah, me too.
And he was like,
yes, of course.
And he was like, well, I don't know. I mean, it's very hard for me to talk to somebody who's done such work as Atomic Train. I forgot that I never told you that story.
That's classic. I don't know that he ever brought it up when I was around him. I mean,
by the way, how great is that?
He might have been thinking it
again. They had me at Atomic Train. Like, wait a minute. I'm like, wait a minute. So I get to do a movie where there's an atomic train, and I get to write it. I'm in. I'm sorry. I'm just.
They had me at Rob Lowe. They were like, "You're going to play the wife of Rob Lowe." I was like, "Okay." And then I was like, "Atomic what?
Atomic what?
What are we doing? What?" Yeah, but. Yeah, that was a trip and a half, that job. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, those were the days when they made these gigantic.
It was big.
It was at that point, it was the most money, biggest budget thing I had ever been in. Yes.
What?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Maybe The Stand, maybe Stephen King's The Stand would have been.
Okay.
Which was like 12 nights of television. But
Wow.
But they had me at Atomic Train. With the greatest title.
I know it was fun though. It was fun. And do you remember? I remember this one thing because I feel like we were there forever. I'm sure it wasn't forever, but we were in Vancouver and like
it's forever.
October, November, December, like not the best months.
No.
And there was one time when we were trying the longest sequences, right? Of like when the train might come and how are we going to get out of the way? And what were we going to do with the kids?
Oh my God, this train is atomic. It's atomic.
Right. Oh my God, what does that mean? And it would rain and then it would not rain. And I remember they were like, we're going to call it like microbursts or something. Like they made up some name. And you in some scene that we did by the cars, and I'm like mad. They kept telling me like, be madder. And I'm like, okay. And you're like, well, the microbursts are coming again. And I was like, are they?
Are the microbursts coming again?
Boy, is the atomic train coming. I mean, it was so crazy. But you were very, very grounded. You were very a grounding presence within it all, which, that was another thing where it was a great learning experience for me,
Well, and it's funny. So it was you and I and a very young, and I'll never forget this, when you think you're never going to age, you think you're always going to be 20. And I remember coming to the set and they're like, and this is who's playing your daughter. It was Mina Suvari, right before American Beauty. And I'm like, wait a minute. She's my daughter? What the hell?
I know. You were very upset. I know.
I was super like,
I know.
Wow. And what's amazing is you immediately got Sex and the City. She immediately got American Beauty, and I immediately got The West Wing.
Oh, I didn't realize the West Wing connection. That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I remember her. She was young, and I remember just being like wanting to, caretake that situation or whatever, whether I was asked to or not. And I remember she had gone home to test, I feel like, for American Beauty and came back with the script. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then it obviously went insane. And
we all got on that great run where we would see each other at the Golden Globes. And
that was fun. That was really, really fun. I love seeing you. It's always, I think the thing that's funny about, the award shows is like, they are weird, and like kind of so amped up. But on the other hand, you get to see all your friends.
Yes.
It's such a old home week,
You're so right. That is the best thing about it. Because I had not really seen Sarah. Because, I knew Sarah when she was playing Annie.
I know. And when you guys went on like the Democratic, remember when you were like on tour with the politicians?
Oh, yeah. And like,
fascinating.
I mean,
with Downey?
I remember going to Capitol Hill back in the days when I was doing all that stuff. And I remember Sarah meeting Joe Biden, who had just gotten, he had just gotten hair plugs. And he was so like, he's very charming, particularly, this is 30 years ago. And,
right. Wow.
And Sarah was like all a Twitter. She was like all flutter. She was all like, ooh.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It seems like another lifetime ago in a way. I mean, do you feel that? Do you feel like you've had like numerous lifetimes?
Numerous lifetimes. And then like the 6 degrees of separation of all of it, Kim Cattrall and I did a movie called Masquerade together, which
insane.
I love that movie.
I love that movie.
It got good reviews, but the studio kind of dumped it because they thought it was too sexy.
I know. Can you imagine such a thing?
Oh, it was pretty gratuitous, but it was great.
I know, but it was great. It was sexy. Like, I wish we had sexy movies now. Do you know what I mean?
Nobody has sex scenes in movies anymore.
I know. Apparently the baby girl. I haven't seen it yet, but I mean, apparently.
Oh, I've seen it. I take it back. I take it back.
Was it sexy?
It's pretty great. It's pretty
great. Hot. I can't wait. But it's so unusual that we even talk about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, we have to even, like, we're like, oh, thank God someone made a sexy movie. Like, it's an unusual thing now.
They're like, it's so brave. She's so brave. She's brave to have the sex scene. That's brave now. And in our day, it was required.
Right.
There's the page 73 rule. Do you know about that? Do you know what the page 73 rule? No. In the day, the sex scene was always on page 73. Like, you get a script and you're like, oh my God, how gratuitous. Am I have to be naked in this? Let me check. And you didn't have to read the whole script. You just went to page 73 because that's mid-second act. What do you do in the second act, which is notoriously the toughest sledding in storytelling, mid-second act? I know.
Right.
They Blue Lagoon it.
Oh my God.
Beach under a moonlit night.
Wow.
It's 73, but now it's brave. It's so brave.
It's just so interesting how things have changed and continue to change so much.
Right?
Yeah. What do you make of it?
I don't know. I always feel like, out of chaos comes opportunity. Again, you go back to attitude. My attitude is always, make the most of it in disruption. Yeah. Is actually a great time to build new things. And if you can be one of the nimble ones, if you can be one of the forward-thinking ones, and if you can be one of the fearless ones and not entrenched and not trying to recreate yesterday, but try to imagine tomorrow, it's your time. And that's the way I'm kind of looking at as I see so much change in it. Not just our business around. It's everywhere. It's around the world. We're living in a look. We're going to go back and go. This is what it was like before the Industrial Revolution.
Right.
In 30 years, people are going to go. Wait a minute. So when I went to, there was a doctor. Wait. So when I got sick, a human being looked at me. Like, wait, there was a person,
It's crazy.
Or like, oh, so when I got a car to go LA, somebody drove it? Wait a minute, like you trusted your life
My God.
in a vehicle to a person?
Oh my God.
No.
I know, but like, I just am worried about like relationships and humanity. You know what I mean? Like within all of the changes, it worries me. I know it's probably not helping me to worry about it, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
This is so much change. So much change.
I mean, look at it this way. Like when you have the ability to put on your goggles and then the suit, which will be coming, which enables
oh my God.
which enables you to feel tingly do you know what I mean? When you get in your goggled cocoon on your couch and you can be like, you know what? I want to go to Tanzania. And I want to run around with the elephants tonight. And you do it.
I mean, that sounds good.
Well, then the other side of it is
but how does that, I don't know how we're going to do that and keep personal, ownership of ourselves or whatever, right?
Yeah. My worry is everybody's going to be a pod person. Nobody will go anywhere because they won't have to. But then you look at it this way.
That's not
It's
good.
I always butcher this, democratization. I said it right. The democratization of experience. Because
which is not a bad thing.
No, it's a great thing. It's like not everybody gets to like Machu Picchu. I got to. But now everybody will be able to. And there's all I mean, it's all that kind of stuff. And you take the good with the bad, but it's going to be weird. I'm curious to know what it means for our kids. How old are your kids now?
7. The little one who was 6 months old when we went to South Africa is now 7. Obsessed with basketball.
Amazing.
And Gemma is 13.
Wow.
I know.
So adorable.
What on earth? It goes so quick.
What is she into? So what is Gemma into? What's your
Well, lately, so she's 5'10".
Wow. Amazing. Beautiful.
I know. I have to look up at her. Wow. And she plays basketball, though is not obsessed like the 7-year-old. And just recently, she was in a play. And she loved it. I know. I'm like, oh, Lord. But you know what? I feel like it's such a great experience in the teen years because it's such a collective thing. She had been on the crew before and she loved that as well. She's not so much a performer like I've got to perform. She's more like I just wanted to be part of the ensemble. So I'm encouraging it as experience, and as like such a good bonding thing for the teens, the tween teens. And they have a great theater at her school and, it seems good. So, I mean, at one point she was like, Mommy, could I be an actor? And I was like, no, I'm so sorry. You can't. And she said, but you were. And I said, this is true. This is true that I was, but, different time. Like it's so completely different. I mean, so completely different. And no one in our generation ever thought like, I really want to be famous. I really want to be on social media. There was no social media. Like there's just so much more pitfalls in certain ways, I think now. 100%. I mean, your sons are doing great though. Like Johnny's doing so great.
But I did the same thing you did. I tried to beat every creative instinct out of him. And it didn't work.
That's what I told her too. I said, listen, when I was young, and I also, for me, and I don't know how you would describe this for yourself because you had a different timeline, but for me, sobriety and acting kind of went together, right? Like the reason that I got sober young was because I wanted to act and I knew that I couldn't really do both at the rate that I was drinking, right? And it saved me in so many ways that I had a passion, that I had a dream, that I had something that was more important to me than drinking. So those two are intrinsically linked for me. And I can't really imagine like if I hadn't had the dream of acting.
Right.
And, when I say dream of acting, I mean like Broadway was the height of that dream. You know what I'm saying? There was no film, television, whatever in that dream, but whatever it was still a very lofty dream, obviously. And drinking just didn't go. And so it gave me a reason to quit drinking. And so once I quit drinking, then I had to, of course, pursue my dream. And that was really all I cared about in the entire world, which I don't know if that was true for you or not. I mean, you seem much more well-rounded.
No. I was not well. I was not well-rounded because I know we've talked about this, that you knew you wanted to act from like the time you were like a little kid. And
yes,
and I
10, yeah.
And I was the same. So I knew it. I knew it 9 or 10, same. And all I wanted to do, it would be like, you see those little kids out there dribbling basketballs 24/7, and they think they're going to the
PTA? I have one.
That's what I was with acting, and
that's what I was too. That's what I was too.
My journey was, I liked the drinking and acting, mixing it up. I loved it so much. I did. And then I realized it was messing up my personal life.
Oh, good. That's good.
Right. But you and I both came to sobriety and recovery. It's sort of the same time. I was 26. You were younger, weren't you? How? I
was younger. I was like 23 when I started to try to stop. It didn't happen right away, but I had the insight that I needed to stop. And then it took a while to actually do it, because you don't get a lot of support when you're in your 20s, especially back then.
It's a miracle. It's a miracle that I, and my son John Owen, I'm not speaking out of school, he's open about it, but he stopped drinking at, if you can imagine, as the head of his frat's social committee senior year.
Wow.
In college. And you want to talk about and living in the frat. Can you imagine a talk about like setting yourself up for failure? But he did it. But I have amazing, like such empathy in people.
Amazing.
Amazing. Like, it's like, I want to say, but I all those kids are drinking so much before. It's like they've had a career of it already. That's why they end up.
It's true. And that was true for me where I was in South Carolina. There was just liquor everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It was just anyway, that stuff's sometimes scary.
Okay,
yes?
I know what I
think about.
I just have, when I talk to you, I keep having flashbacks of things that we've done together. Tell me the story, and you might have to just name the name. Fuck it. This is what we do. We make gossip headlines. That's what we do together. The actor that you were dating, who you loaned $5,000.
I am not going to tell you that name. Okay,
but
I feel so bad that I told that story, Rob, because then now he's a con artist. He's not a con artist. He's like an out of work actor, people. I can't name the name. Okay. I'll tell you the next time I see you.
Okay. So, but here's, we can turn it into a guessing game, and the listeners can call the lowdown line, and they can say, who do you think it is? Who do you think Kristin Davis was dating, who is an out-of-work actor that she lent $5,000? He immediately then bails, never to be heard from again, and becomes famous.
It took a while for him to become famous. Let me say that. So he was like someone where I felt, how you can feel like talented people and
they're going to happen.
Yeah, I really felt that. And I also had other mutual friends with him. So it wasn't like just me. Like I saw some headline. I mean, first of all, this was my very first episode of my podcast, right? And I have on the girl, Sarah Winter, who was our very first guest star on Sex and the City. And she adorably came with all these great dating stories. And, it's my first podcast. I'm just trying to roll with it and, engage in the conversation. And it feels so private. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I haven't seen him. Don't know.
I want to go through like the 90s hot guy list so badly. I want to go.
I don't think he would have been on the 90s hot guy list yet. I don't know. I don't know. But let me say this. People like the Daily Mail reached out to someone. He was hot. Okay.
He was hot. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Yes. He was hot. Okay. He was very hot. I think he still is very hot. He's married now. I'll give you some clues. But I think it's definitely someone that I think everyone would agree is hot.
Okay. Does he have... If there was a list of names, Like Bill, John, Frank, Rich. Like if there was a list of names, would his name stick out in a list?
You are so bad.
Yes, it would, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it?
This is the thing. Can I tell you the joy of this conversation?
Yes, please.
First of all, you're fun. But second of all, this is before social media and stuff, right? Where you could just do shit.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
For sure, yeah.
Like you could date people, you could do stupid things, you could make some stupid decisions, and no one would know.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
Which is why I kind of want to kick myself for bringing it up. Because it's like, what I was going to say was the Daily Mail reached out to someone that I used to date, publicist, who actually I know, who reached out to my publicist and said, they're going to run a story that it was this person. It was not that person. I didn't even know that person. Oh, I pulled my headphone out.
Okay, well,
that's how excited you got me, Rob.
Okay, well, you have to be careful on podcasts. So
it's no one famous. I know. I have to be more careful.
But
I still want to have fun.
Do you want to know here's my story along the same line. So I have Josh Brolin, who is one of my favorite actors of all time.
Love him.
Oh, and he's one of the nicest. He's literally one of my favorite actors ever.
He's so great.
And one of the nicest guys. And he's written a book, which is amazing. His book. Amazing.
Oh, great.
Yeah. I think it's called Underneath the Engine or something like that. But it's fantastic.
Okay.
Like he's a real writer, like a serious, amazing writer. So I have him on the podcast.
Okay.
And we're talking and it's great. And he's moved back to Montecito, where I live. He grew up there. He's moved back with his family.
Oh.
All good.
Nice.
So I'm watching. So I invite him to come over and bring the family, and he does, and they bring me this amazing little thing of muffins, and it's great. And I have a muffin, and it's great. We have the greatest thing. Then I have him on the podcast. It's great. Fast forward to I'm listening to him on his tour promoting his book, and someone asks him living in Montecito. He goes, well, it's changed a lot. I mean, there's a lot of different types of people up there. I was invited to a weekend of somebody's house. I can't say, but he's very famous and been around a long, he's kind of a legend guy. And, and I brought a bunch of muffins and, I'll give him the muffins. And the guy was like, hey, I want this muffin with a glass of milk. And I thought, yo, bro, you can just get the glass of milk yourself. And then now it's like, I'm like, am I the muffin man?
Ooh. But maybe he takes muffins everywhere, Rob. You might not be the muffin man.
Am I the muffin man? I think.
Did you find out?
By the way, I have to ask him. I haven't seen him yet, but I'm going to ask him. But it's my favorite things, like, it is when the nexus of podcasts, press, personal, and you're wondering, am I the muffin man? So right now, you have some guy who you used to date wondering if he's the flim flam artist.
I mean, look, in my mind, right? I hope he's wondering that, but I don't even know that he.
Did Alec Baldwin call you?
Right?
Did Alec call you? Hey,
it is not Alec Baldwin. Oh my God. This is one of the things that's out there. This is the thing.
Kristin.
Alec Baldwin was so rich by the time I dated Alec Baldwin, okay? Can I just say that straight out? Like, one of the best things about Alec Baldwin when I dated him is that he had the most incredible house in Amagansett.
Yes.
Like, I remember I was at work and I was like, Sarah Jessica, I just don't know if it's going to work out with Alec and I, but I just really love that house, which is literally like one of the only times I have felt that way. Do you know? Where I'm like, I don't want to break up with this person because I like his house. Like, it's so embarrassing to say that out loud, but it's true. I so would never have needed to lend Alec $5,000. My God.
Okay, no, so I'm back.
Not Alec.
So I'm back to thinking it's Skeet Ulrich. I'm back to thinking it.
Listen, I have never met Skeet Ulrich in my life, but you're not on the wrong path.
I know. Well, believe me, I know what this genus and
you do. You understand the type.
I know the
you
type.
understand the type.
Oh, I know
this
the type.
This guy drove a motorcycle.
Oh, yeah, or a Jeep. Sure, yes, he did. 100.
Yeah, no, it was a motorcycle because it had crashed. This is partly why the lending of the money came up. I was at his little apartment. And, he was auditioning all the time because he was like someone where you could feel that it was going to happen. Something was going to happen, right?
Yes. Well, yep.
And it had rained back in the day when it rained, and he had crashed his motorcycle. So he had no way to get around to go to his auditions. And all at his house were like, I'm going to disconnect your electricity notices, right? So they were just like scattered around. I think that's why people think that he was conning me, but I don't think he was conning me. I just think he was like an out of work actor who didn't clean his house. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, my mommy part of me was like, well, this is terrible. You can't get to your auditions and you're so talented and you're not going to have electricity soon and let me help you. Which the only reason it was a mistake was that you don't want to do that with someone that you're dating because then it changes the dynamic and you can't really right that ship.
Can I tell you something? What you have described to me.
Yes.
Can only be one person.
Who is it?
You couldn't have painted a picture any better of this person in that era. I didn't know. I'm not sure you guys have ever dated, but what you have described can only be Keanu Reeves.
I wish it was Keanu Reeves, okay? I wish with every fiber of my being that it was Keanu Reeves, but it was in fact not. But let me tell you, I would have lent Keanu $100,000 to put at it, okay? I would do anything for Keanu Reeves. But no, sadly, no, not to that level. Keanu was on a special level all his own.
Yes, he is.
Not to that level.
It's true.
Yeah.
I see. This is your podcast is going to be sick. By the way, how many of you? Because if this is any indication, you're going to get so many listeners. Are going to be. He's the absolute funniest, sweetest, greatest.
That's because I'm talking to you, Rob. I mean, this whole journey is such a trip, right? Like, I mean, our careers in general, but the podcast era is very fascinating because you really have to create it. Like, what do you want to, because it's technically a rewatch, but I'm not literally rewatching it, to use your word, your title of your podcast, because it's too minutia. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't get into and then this line and then that line. I just feel like that's just too much.
Right.
So I'm just talking about my memories, and I had the first guest star on, and then I've had Michael Patrick King on, our writer, director, producer, we love him so much fun. Then I had Cynthia, so much fun. Sarah Jessica, we're trying to schedule, cannot wait. But I also I'm having Mel Robbins on.
Great.
I know. I'm just like fascinated by her. I don't know exactly how we're going to talk about the show, but I'm game, right?
Yeah.
Like people who are interesting. I want to have people who are interesting. And then my dream is to have the fans. And maybe they wouldn't come on for the whole show, but like questions from the fans, that might bring up good memories or whatever, or things they wondered about, or like to connect. I want to connect. I feel like we have this amazing thing that we've all been a part of, and it's so rare, and we're so lucky to have it.
100%.
And I want to, because it's come on Netflix and all these new people are watching it, which is a wonderful thing. And I want to connect more, with people about it and talk about the themes and the relationship things that we had in the show that are still so relevant, like today, which is pretty amazing when you think about it.
No, it's great. It's a great idea. The show Sex and the City is so beloved. You're going to have so many people into it. And it's going to be amazing. And you're born to do this. You're going to have fun. I think.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, you're going to have fun. And this was fun having you on. This has been amazing.
So much fun.
We have gone off the rails. You and I have gone crazy together, which is what we do when we get together. Thank you.
We love you.
I love you too.
We love everything about you.
You're the absolute best. I love you. Thanks for coming on.
You are my joy. So much joy. I'm aspiring to be like you.